Tonight's class is about the two teachers. And in yogic philosophy, there's considered to be two threads, two main influences on your life that interact. And they can interact in any number of ways. They're characterized by the planets Jupiter and Saturn. The Jupiter energy, if you like, is infused into the first digit. And the energy of Saturn is infused into the second digit. They in turn create reflexes, right side onto two sections of the brain, left side, and left side onto two sections of the brain, right side. So the unique way in which you communicate with others and you use gesture is determined by that relationship of Jupiter and Saturn. What is their sphere of influence? How do they work? Well, the energy of Jupiter is considered, or was considered by classical Western astrologers, as the great benefic, as in benefactor. And the energy of Saturn as the great malefic, as in malevolent, or kind of negative influence. Now, we can look at it as that polarity that Jupiter is positive and Saturn is negative, but actually it's not really correct. Far better to look at them as individual energies that are interplaying with one another and the whole of your psyche 24/7. More than that, we each one of us have, if you like, an imprint of Saturn and Jupiter for the entire lifetime. How do you know what that is? Well, that's why you went to see your astrologer. And that map, that snapshot of your birth will indicate the relative influence and the sphere of influence of those two planets. In simple terms, each one can be well starred or badly starred. In other words, one can be have a very easy flow or a very challenging flow. Now that in turn will depend entirely on your karma. Some people come in with like a double Jupiter chart, and they have that quality of energy of kind of exuberance and of expansiveness, of being really comfortable in any kind of situation at all. And the energy of Saturn will connect you to your path of spirit. And it will do it in such a way that you will receive lessons that are learned with ease. That's the energy of Jupiter. So it's considered to be wisdom, divine knowledge, the expansion and abundance of those kinds of energies in your life. Now, a good example of Jupiterian energy actually is Kundalini yoga, because it expands all that you are. It's totally an immersion into the secrets of mysticism. It's totally an immersion into the mastery of the mysteries of life. It comes with your practice. So in other words, you do the practice and you start to know at a deeper level. How do you do that? Well, you're sending a line straight up to the skein or the network of teachers, actually of teachers past, present, future of Kundalini. when you sit in that energy field, you receive. That's why, hopefully, you are more intuitive now than when you started your yoga practice. That's the effect of Jupiter. So the kind of simple, well-known mudra, which is what you see on TV, right? You see someone meditating, it's always this. They don't know about any of the other ones. Jupiter. That's why it's called Gyan Mudra. What does Gyan mean? It means wisdom. So you connect with the energy of Jupiter, bring the energy of Jupiter to the earth. What happens? You become wiser. The energy of that planet and its influence suffuses you while you're making that circuit. So the energy of Saturn is kind of the other side of its coin, of that coin, because it's lessons learned with difficulty. Do we like difficult lessons? No, we don't. We like easy lessons. You know, and you get something easy and expand, you think, yeah, well, that's great. I must have deserved that somewhere down the line. And then you get hit by Saturn. And Saturn is constricting. It'll put you in a box, it'll put you in a corner. It's about discipline, it's about karma. Karma is always challenging. It's always challenging because karma represents that which you haven't dealt with. Karma is the completion of cycles. And the only reason you haven't completed them yet is because you didn't really want to. Because it was difficult, because it was painful, because you didn't feel ready to. Because you got yourself into a situation where you had kind of promised something to do something that you then didn't want to follow up on. Well, the universe doesn't mind that, but the universe takes you at your word. So if you say you're going to do something, then the universe says, okay, put those coordinates in the program, and then they come round again for you to fulfill whatever it was. And then that energy is right there. So the energy of Saturn in that respect is challenging. It's related to the energy of structure and discipline. Now, discipline is always a challenge, right? Our discipline is sadhana. And to meet that challenge of practice every day is the big challenge. So the energy of Saturn is considered lessons learned with difficulty, but out of that pressure and that discipline and the karma and the constraint comes a pressure that ultimately will become purity. It will become kind of like the diamond of your consciousness. That is constant and that is light and that is bright under every pressure. That's why Saturn can be your greatest friend. Because when those pressures are applied, that is the test of your caliber. And right now, we're being very severely tested. We all are. Globally we're being tested. Shift from here to here, Pisces, Aquarius. Going to the heart center, well, that's great. The heart center, wow, far out. But what it means on a very literal level is that whatever you've got going that is kind of connecting you and rooting you to your third chakra is, in that sense, preventing you from getting into here. And this is going on not simply individually, but nationally, internationally, globally. So all of the different institutions of our society are having to make that shift. They're having to reinvent themselves. Can those big mega corporations do that? Can our great institutions do it? Do they want to do it? Well, most of those institutions are very conservative and they're very old and they don't like change. You know, think of religions, churches. But they have to. We all have to. And so we're all reinventing ourselves into an Aquarian vibration, resonance, and image. And we're doing that through those two teachers, Jupiter and Saturn. And so it will be for a few decades. So while that's going on individually, and if I said to anybody, okay, if you've had 5 really easy years, please raise your hand. You might get one person raising their hand in the room, but for most people it's been tough. Now part of this is because there's the acceleration, an apparent acceleration of a different frequency, heart chakra frequency, but mostly it's because those old systems of our society are really having a difficult time in changing. And so we're choosing leaders that are actually completely dipped in Piscean consciousness. And so, now our latest little thing is, Trump and Kim. So tonight's set is to put us in a space where we can then really receive the practice, the meditative practice, to absolutely harmonize and realize that we are we and we are God. It's an act of absolute acceptance. Acceptance of self, acceptance of other. I can't accept you unless I can accept myself. And when we can really accept who we are and accept that we are created in the image of the divine, of the Creator, then we're, if you like, free to get on with the job of delivering our soul mission. And for many of us in this room, part of that soul mission is sharing these teachings. Because these teachings they're like a key to the door of consciousness, which is one of the very best things you can give to anybody,